بيكم في برنامجكم الحياة مواقف، وحلقة النهاردة هي حلقة مميزة كالعادة، وضيفة حلقتنا هي مثال للنجاح والمثابرة، وهي أيضا تعد أصغر نائبة فيدرالية في البرلمان الكندي. ونرحب بضيفة حلقتنا النائبة عن دائرة سان لوران إيمانويلا. Firstly, I would like to thank you for being with us today in the Canadian Arabic TV channel Emmanuela.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me today.
I will going to start to telling you that you are the role model for youth with your determination and fighting for your beliefs. And actually all of us will going to learning from you from your successful journey. And if you are able, please, to introduce yourself for our viewers to know more about Emanuela, since when you have been in Canada, and what was your background, education, or academic?
So I've lived in Canada my whole life. I was born here. My parents were born here as well. It was my grandparents who came to Canada from Greece back in the late 1950s, and they came escaping poverty, and so they came here for as economic immigrants, and they established a life for themselves. And it was obviously very difficult, just like what many new immigrants are facing today. They faced back then. So my parents were born in Canada, and I was born in Canada, and so we've been very fortunate to kind of grow up in a country where everyone has equal opportunity,
Yeah.
and can succeed if they put in the work and if they believe in themselves and if they set goals, right? So I studied at within Saint Laurent. Like I've lived in Saint Laurent my whole life. I did elementary, high school, and then Cégep in Saint Laurent. Then I went to McGill University and I studied in education. Became a high school teacher, and so I began my career in education as a teacher. I worked at the school here in Saint Laurent, Lauren Hill Academy. And while I was teaching, I also did part-time studies. I began my master's degree in educational leadership, which I just finished last year because it took a little bit longer because of politics, but it's something that I always kind of continue doing on the side because I believe in education and lifelong learning. And so, I think education was always something I was very passionate about. I'm still passionate about it, even though I've left it for a while for politics. It's something that I'm still very, very passionate about, and that I do think that I'll continue at some point down the line in one way or another. And I always loved politics also, and that's kind of, I always wanted to find a way to balance the two or to make them work together.
Yeah, it's very good. But since when you changed your former professional to become or to start to join the political life, do you think it was hard to change your professional, or it wasn't hard for you?
Yeah, it was definitely hard because at the time I had a full-time job. I was teaching full-time and I was studying part-time. I was almost finished my master's degree, so I knew I had a lot going on, and I was doing well. But I also knew that this was an opportunity that may not come again in the near future. It was something that I saw. I had always told my friends and my family that this is something I wanted to do one day.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how soon it would happen. I always said that I would do it after Stéphane Zion retired, because Stéphane Zion was in my position before.
Yeah.
Me, ready for I actually got elected. So this was did part-time on the side. And so I always had this idea in my mind that I wanted to do more and get involved in a more active way. And so when he stepped down, a lot of my friends messaged me and were like, hey, you said that when he retires, you're going in. Are you going in or what?
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, this is actually what I've been saying like my whole life. So I need to decide if this is something that I want or not. And I was 26 years old at the time.
Yeah,
Like
wow.
I said, I was pretty well established, and I was like, okay, well, I can either be comfortable where I am right now and never know what might or could be, or I can just go for it and see what happens and learn a lot of experience in
Of
both
course.
campaigning, elections, and in actual, policy development and in politics in general. And I decided to go for it because I figured I was at the perfect age. I didn't have kids that were holding me back. I didn't, I was pretty available to put myself into this full time and 100%. So I decided to do it.
Yeah, it's perfect. Okay, as is youngest MP, of course, your road or your journey, your journey political life, it wasn't filled with flower. Of course, you had many obstacles. Can you tell us what is the most challenge you have faced?
Yeah. So it was definitely a learning curve, huge learning curve, because I jumped from my field of education that I studied in for many years to a field that I never really studied. And I just went into it, and I was the youngest one, but not only the youngest one, I won a by election two and a
Oh,
half years, or sorry, 1.5 years after everybody else got elected. So
yeah.
I was the newbie, 100%. Not only the youngest, but the new one, and everyone else had already made their friends. They had already learned together what this new world was about for them, and I had to do that by myself, so that was a little bit of a challenge, um, because nobody is there to train you, right? You have to learn everything on your own, and you ask the questions that you ask, but you really need to sit there and take it all in and understand what this new role is and what your job is.
Yeah.
um, so that was a big thing. And of course, in the beginning, in the very, very beginning, it was difficult to feel confident to say what I had to say, because I knew I was young, and I knew a lot of people saw me as the young student, or the young kid.
Yeah, of course.
Um, but I think with time, they realized that that wasn't the case, and that I had a lot to say, and that I wanted to be heard just like everybody else. And I've reminded them time and time again, and especially in the beginning. I don't need to do it anymore, but in the beginning, I would remind them, well, we're all equal over here. We all represent the same amount of people. We're all here to do the same work. And
Yeah.
so, don't make me say things faster than someone else. I'm going to take my time, and I'm going to say what I have to say.
Yeah, of
And
course.
so, that's it was that kind of a battle. It was like, with especially older men, I would say, who, didn't really know how to handle someone who's very much younger, right? Because maybe it's not as usual. In politics, you don't often see too
Yeah,
many
that's
young women.
right.
So there's a few of us, but there's not that many. So
Not,
I think
yeah.
the more and more the young women enter politics, the more this changes, right? Because people become used to it, and they become part of the table. They become part of the process. And I think that, now I'm 30 years old.
Yeah.
So I'm not that young kid anymore. But at the same
Yeah,
time, I
still.
am still one of the youngest.
Yes.
And it's I think I've noticed a huge difference in the last couple of years, because my colleagues now know, okay, well, first of all, she's not that new anymore. She knows what she's doing. And second of all, she's not going to allow us to just push it under the rug. Like, she's going to force herself in there, you know?
Yeah. But your story actually inspiring everybody to start to achieve their goals, never give up. Because here in Canada you have a lot of opportunity. You can do what you want. That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody, right? And that's why people choose Canada as a home, even if they are not from here, because they see that their children are going to have the same opportunities as anybody who was born here, right? And so if you go to school and you do well in school and you get involved in your community, because
Yeah.
I was very involved in my community. I think that's what helped me become more of a public person. And that's what helped me make a lot of the connections that I made, a lot of the supporters that I have come because of the different work that I did before. And that's kind of my suggestion to anybody who wants to get involved one day in politics is really you need to start at the bottom. You don't just
As
run
volunteer,
one day.
that's right. You already start as
Exactly.
volunteer, that's right.
You start as a volunteer anywhere, really. You don't have to start in a political campaign. It obviously helps you learn what you
Yeah.
need to know. I wouldn't feel confident to win an election if I had never volunteered in an election, right? But you can even volunteer for a soccer team. You can do different things that'll get you in contact with many people that you build connections and relationships with.
But did you expected you were going to win when we had the election time? You expected that?
Well, well, I told my friends and everybody who was in my life at the time. I kind of said, should I do it? Should I do it? And
Yeah.
I was kind of saying, this is not a joke. Like, I think I have a good chance to win. So if
Yeah.
I do it, it means it could change my life drastically. Do you think I should do it? And I always knew that because I grew up here in Saint Laurent and I played tennis in Saint Laurent and I worked
Oh,
at
it's
the summer
perfect.
camps in Saint Laurent and the school. I have so many students that I went to school with that I taught. And so I knew that I had a I knew a lot of people knew who I was, right, already. And they knew the work that I did. They knew that I was an honest, hardworking person who had good values and wanted what was best for people. And I think that that's where if you know somebody personally and they're putting their name on the ballot, you're obviously going to want to go out of your way to support them. And
Yeah.
so, again, I knew how to win an election because I've worked in elections before as a volunteer. And I also knew a lot of people in Saint Laurent, and I kind of always knew that if I wanted this one day, I could have it.
Yeah, it's very nice. It's very nice from your side. Okay, we're going to talk about your achievement and about your region right now. Okay, can you tell us more about the new project you are involved in concerning food security for elementary and secondary school?
Yep. So it's Bill C-298.
Yeah.
It's a national school food security program. And so what it is it's proposing that the government of Canada work with the provinces in order to provide either a breakfast program or a lunch program to all students across the country.
Yeah.
And the reason why I brought this forward is because I was a high school teacher before I entered politics, as you know. And
Yeah.
one of the biggest problems that I saw and noticed was that a lot of my students did not have access to food at school.
Wow.
Either
Yeah.
they didn't have money to buy their lunch or they didn't bring a lunch. And
Yeah.
it was a lot more common than you would think because I was working in public schools. And
Yeah.
so a lot of times, the kids, they don't like showing that they don't have food or money. Like it's for them, they're shy. They don't
Yeah, of
come to
course.
you and say, Miss, I don't have food because they're shy and they don't want you to know. So you have to really find these kids and ask them, hey, where's your lunch? Did you eat today? And a lot of the times it would be like, oh, no, I don't have anything today, miss. My mom didn't give me any, like, and unfortunately, sometimes parents work their hardest to be able to provide for their children, and sometimes they just don't have enough. So it's one way that the government can help something that would, help students become
Yeah,
more successful in school.
of
Because
course.
obviously nutrition has a big role to play in how we learn and whether or not we're going to be paying attention or not
Yeah.
in school and in class. So yeah, I'm currently working with different organizations that already do this work to see, what data is out there that can help us move this forward. And I'm working with different MPs to try to get everybody to support this bill going forward.
Oh my God, it's really so nice from your side to think about something like that. Everybody will going to appreciate that.
I think it'll help a lot of people, and
Yeah,
it's
of course.
important that it's not just the kids who can't afford lunch that receive this. It's everybody because you don't want to make a difference. You want all
Yeah.
kids to feel the same and
Yeah,
to
of
have the
course.
same opportunities, right? So this is for the rich kids, it's for the kids that don't have a lot of money. Everyone receives the
Yeah,
same thing, and
yeah, because we don't need even the poor kids feel that shy when they were going to have a lunch from their friends, and they were going to know that they didn't pay anything for that. No, it's a very
Yeah,
good idea.
exactly.
We encourage you.
Thank you.
Thank you. As we know, you have the biggest Arabic and Muslim community in your region. So, what do you advise them to do if they face any racism problem? And what will you do if someone is asking your help?
So, if anyone experiences racism, Islamophobia, or any type of discrimination, I want to hear from it, especially if they live in Saint Laurent. So I encourage people to reach out to me if ever they do experience this, because I want to help you find ways to either cope or get through or find a solution to the problem. People have actually come up to me and told me, I've been discriminated against, for example, in the workplace
Yeah.
because because of the way I look, or because I wear a hijab, or because, this is something that people have actually come and told me. And what I do is I know a lot of the businesses in Saint Laurent and a lot of the different employers.
Yeah.
And in the past, I've actually helped people, and I've helped connect people to employers who are a lot more friendly, a lot more, better human beings
Yeah, of
who
course.
are not racist. And it's unfortunate that this is even an issue today, but
Yeah.
I know that some people do feel that way. So we try to help make life a little bit easier and a little bit better, and show people that they have somebody in their court, somebody on their side. And another thing is, I sit on the public safety committee right now, and we just did a study on far right extremism, which is groups that go after people. And so one of the things that we looked at was what happened in London, Ontario, with the attack
Ah, yeah,
in
yeah.
on a Muslim family.
Yeah, yeah.
And basically what we took a look at is how more and more hate is taking place online, and there are groups of people who now have a forum where they can go and express their hatred,
Yeah.
which is very dangerous, because this is somewhere where you could be in your basement and you could find a whole community of people who feel the same way that you do about something, and
Yeah.
it encourages people to act on violence. And so one of the things that we're doing is we're looking into ways that we can find and target these groups online and ban them. We're trying to, implement legislation right now in order to stop hatred online and that type of thing. So it's important that we speak out about it if we feel that it's something that's happening here.
Yeah.
I often use social media to encourage people to remember why we're here, and that we're all supposed to live safely and freely and peacefully with each other.
Yeah, of course.
So it's really about promoting peace and promoting diversity, right? And inclusion, and making sure that everyone feels like Saint Laurent, especially, is a safe place for everyone. So there's not much as an individual, as one person, that I could do to change what's happening. But what I can do, and what I do, is I raise these issues at caucus, and I make sure that the ministers responsible for public safety, for example, know what's going on. I also try to get in touch with the religious institutions in my riding, all of them, specifically mosques and synagogues, because they're the ones that may experience a higher level of security issues. And so we let them know that there's always funding available to help protect these institutions, to make people who are going to pray to feel safe. So these are the different things that myself as an office and that the federal government sort of help with
Yeah. Ah,
in that respect.
it's perfect. I would like to ask you to give the youth advice about how not to give up in their dreams.
So I think everybody has the potential to do anything that they want. And, we all have a different starting point. We all have a certain level of knowledge and a level of, ability. And I think that no matter what it is we want to do, of course we have strengths and weaknesses, but we can always work on our weaknesses in order to make them strengths. And we can always, try to find ways to improve ourselves and to move ahead. And so my suggestion is never ever give up. And even if there's something that you're in the middle of doing that you're not sure you really like. So a lot of people, they start a degree in university and halfway through they're like, oh, you know what, I don't really like this anymore. Or they'll start working somewhere and they're not too sure if this is the right fit for them. It's important to look at what the options are and to try to find what might be a better fit. But if there's a certain, if there's something to gain from doing, let's say, a full year at that job or from finishing that degree, well, then I think that should be something that they do rather than just give up, because you're always going to look back and be proud of having that paper, or having that 1 year experience that you can put on your resume and that you can move forward and gain, other opportunities in the future because of that. Yeah. So in my experience anyways, anytime that I didn't like something or I was having a very difficult time somewhere, I never quit, even if it was easy, even if my parents were even encouraging me to quit because of a situation where I was maybe in danger, in a past experience that I had. And my response was, no, I have 6 months left. I'm doing it. And at the end, I'm just going to be stronger because of it. And you know what? You gain a lot of resilience. You get thicker skin and you become better for it, even if in the moment it seems like a terrible experience. I don't think people should stay in a situation where it's bad for their mental health or their health. Definitely not. That you need to leave. But there's a certain level that you're probably able to handle. And if it's very temporary, I would suggest going ahead with it until you know exactly where else you want to go. And often opportunities come up in front of us when we least expect them. And so, but there always will be something that comes up, right? Whether it's a job opportunity or an opportunity to take part in some program or something that we see as a doorway to a new area or a new path. And we have to be attentive of those opportunities so that we can actually, recognize them and say, hey, maybe this is where I should take my next step. Yeah. So I'm not sure if that helps, but
of course,
those are some of my suggestions.
Especially here in Canada, the door is open all the time, actually. You have
There's always new doors. Yeah.
Everybody can achieve his goal.
Absolutely, especially like what I would say to young people as a former teacher as well, is if there's something that you pay attention to the things that you love doing. Make sure that you know what it is that brings you joy inside, that makes you feel passionate and that lights that fire inside of you. And don't ignore those feelings, right? And find a way to integrate that into your plans, even if it's by volunteering in these areas, because you never know, one day this could be a business for you, even if you're coaching or something one day and it's for free, well, one day you can open up your own soccer business, for example, or whatever it is. There's just so many opportunities, and if you put the work in, you'll usually succeed. So those are,
that's right,
for anyone. It's not just for kids, it's for everybody.
That's right. Actually, I'm so happy to having you with us today. And in the end of our episode, I would like to thank you again. And I wish you all the success. And just I want to ask you to say one word for the Muslim community for their Fête, because it's after a few days. You know that Eid al-Adha. Just waiting your word.
Well, I wish everybody. Sorry, can we just take one little break?
Yeah.
This isn't live, right? No.
No, sweetheart. No.
Okay. Sorry. I believe can you repeat which holiday it is?
It's the name, their Fête, Eid al-Adha, the Fête for the Muslim community. It's after 1 week.
Adha?
Yeah, Eid al-Adha. Yeah.
Okay.
Eid
and
Eid al-Adha. Ask you.
Yeah. Okay.
أعيد آخر واحدة.
Great. Yeah.
Okay, I will going to repeat again the last statement, okay?
Okay, perfect.
Actually, in the end of our episode, I would like to thank you again for being with us today, and I wish you all the success. And just I want to ask you to say one word for the Muslim community because their fete, it will going to be soon.
All right, well, I'd like to wish all of the Muslim community in Saint Laurent and across Canada a happy Eid. Eid
Yeah.
Adha Mubarak.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And thank you and have a great day, Emmanuel.
Thank you, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
She's so cute.
I was trying to hang up the phone.
Oh, yeah, yeah.